Jeep Gladiator 1 year ownership review. How's it doing? Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to Automotive JT. So, I've had my Jeep Gladiator, actually my second Jeep Gladiator, for a year now, and I thought I'd get on here and give a little bit of a review of it. How's it doing, you know, that kind of stuff. And I'll tell you right off, how did I know it was a year? I got to thinking about doing this video recently, and then I thought, well, I'm going to have to go look up the paperwork, all that stuff, but here in Texas, as everywhere else probably, we have to renew those little stickers for your registration once a year. And I just renewed it. So that's how I know I've had this Jeep Gladiator for 1 year. Now, a little bit of backstory for you. I had a different Jeep Gladiator before this one. Same thing, same year, same everything. Just the difference of a tow package. Had some issues with it. An opportunity came up to, in essence, swap it out for this one. The whole story's in other videos, so I'm not going to reiterate that. So I did that. I actually traded it in and then took this one. It is, by the way, a 2020 Jeep Gladiator. It is the Sport S, no tow package. So, how is it doing? Well, I gotta say, I am very, very happy with this one. You know, my first one was a little bit concerning, I suppose. That's why I traded it, because I had some gremlins with it, some electrical stuff and the auto stop failure, all that miserable stuff, primarily brought on by the auto stop, which, by the way, I cannot stand. I think it's one of the worst systems that have ever been put in a truck or car or any vehicle. It's just horrible. So that truck I had actually taken on a long distance trip, and it was fantastic. So my seat time, I guess, was in that truck. But being that it is exactly the same, or was exactly the same as this one, I can say that it was fantastic. These things are amazingly comfortable for a truck. I mean, it is a truck, right? No longer do we have that truck feel. You know, the articulation of the bed, the bounciness, the uncomfortable seats. Now, let's talk about gas mileage, because everybody wants to know about gas mileage, even though nobody cares about gas mileage. And this one, I'll give you a real-time update. This one is actually getting, right now, 14.7 miles per gallon. Now, let me preface that by saying that I do have larger tires on the truck. I'm running a 285/70 R17. So the numbers are going to be off a little bit. If you want to get a little bit closer, multiply that number by 1.1 or so, and you'll get a good idea. I think it's somewhere in the 16 mile per gallon range, something like that. So not great, not getting great mileage. My other one, I think, which had the same setup, strangely, got a little bit better. Maybe my driving style has changed a little bit with this one. I'm not exactly sure, but I will say it did get a little bit better mileage. Now I'm blinded by the sun. You guys can see it's shadowing in on me because I'm driving almost right into the sun. By the way, it's a gorgeous day here. I am in South Texas. It is 73 degrees and I don't see a cloud in the sky. A little bit of haze, and that's why you see that shadow coming in on me right now. Otherwise, the comfort I mentioned, you know, I don't know that comfort should be the number one concern when you're driving a truck. But for me, it does matter. This is my daily driver. Whenever I'm running off to Lowe's or the grocery store or whatever it is I'm doing, this is my daily driver. So I do want it to be comfortable. And I gotta say, it is. The seats are still holding up well, still just as comfortable as the day that I got it. You know, sometimes after you have a vehicle for a while, everything kind of compacts, you know, from sitting in the seats, and then they kind of flatten out a little bit and become kind of hard. Not true in this truck. Everything is just like it was the day that I got it. It's very comfortable. The suspension, same thing. Sometimes after you have the truck for a while, the suspension will kind of compact a little bit, break in, ease up a little, and it becomes a little bit more of a firm ride, I guess. Haven't experienced that in this truck. Again, still like it was the day that I got it. What about body panels and all that kind of stuff? You know, this truck sits outside in the South Texas sun, which is quite brutal. You know, during the summer, which this has been through one now with me, it can get quite hot. And sometimes when that happens, the body panels will warp, things will start to separate a little bit, plastic starts to gray up. And that's been a problem with Jeep for a while. I've heard a lot of people talk about that, about the body panels, particularly the fenders, which are black on mine, graying out, kind of getting a haze about them. So far, I haven't experienced that. It's still just like it was. Now, I will tell you, I do treat it, if you will, with wax, but I don't think that's really enough to stop the fading of it. So I think they've done a good job. I don't know if Jeep changed the composition of them at all, but they are fantastic. Everything still fits well, nothing is separated, and that's awesome. Now, let's talk about the auto stop system for a minute, because that was one of the big problems I had with my first Jeep Gladiator. I have not had one instance of any kind of a malfunction of that system in this truck. Now, let me say, I don't drive this truck every day, so it does sit occasionally for maybe a couple, maybe 3 days at the most. So there's plenty of time for that auxiliary battery, which seems to be the problem with the auto stop system, to discharge. But I haven't had any issues with it. Everything has been spot on. Matter of fact, I haven't had any issues with any of the electronics in this truck whatsoever. It's too bad that the first one that I had wasn't the same as this one, because if I'm being honest, that one kind of soiled the perception of the Jeep Gladiator for me a little bit from the beginning. It's redeemed itself in this one, but even so, that one kind of spoiled it a little bit for me from the start, because we all know Jeep doesn't have the greatest reputation, and I thought, oh great, I've bought a first year Jeep, my bad, this is the first year, 2020, and now I'm experiencing the problems that go along with a first year model, or with just Jeep altogether. But I'm happy to say, again, this one has been spot on fine. Now, I have done some mods on this. You probably can hear it growling in the background. That is an aftermarket cold air intake. That hasn't caused me any issues either. One thing I'll note, if you're considering an aftermarket intake, particularly for sound, I will say I don't believe they provide anything else. Some of them claim more horsepower, some of them claim better fuel economy, but I haven't noticed any of that in my truck. But if you're doing one, the best one in my opinion for sound is Air Raid. I've had others and never gotten the throaty volume out of them that I get out of this one. So I'm very happy with it. Just make sure if you do it, that you get that MAF sensor correctly positioned. I think that's the key when people have problems with them, like check engine lights on their dash. It's because they have not installed that MAF sensor correctly. So just a little tip for you there if you're looking for one. So to sum it up, I guess, spot on. It's been perfect so far. My first year, no issues with it. I've had, I believe, one oil change, and everything else has been terrific. Would I buy it again? Absolutely, I would. I love this truck. I would say this is probably one of my top 5, maybe top 3 vehicles that I've ever owned. And that's saying a lot, because I've owned about 70 brand new vehicles. So this one is awesome. Anyway, leave a comment. Let me know if you've had your Gladiator for a while, maybe a year, maybe longer. How's it been doing for you? Any issues with it? Any little problems or gremlins? I'd be curious to know. Also, real quick, I do have an additional channel. It is Rob Motive, all about my 2021 Toyota Tacoma with some Tundra stuff spread in there, here and there. Check it out if you're interested. Why not subscribe? Don't forget to click that notification bell so that you don't miss out on any upcoming videos. And do me a favor, smash that subscribe button on the way out. Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there. Bye.